Michelle, can you hear me? Oh, fine. Gee, I did not know that because I couldn't hear you. Perfect. So let's begin. Thank you very much. I don't know if you folks are seeing the same screen as I. It's a tinier projection screen, but here we go. Let me just mention that my webinars are very short, to the point. What we're trying to do here is just give you one idea that may work for you. Perfect. Thank you. So today, we're talking about proven sales strategies, because in 2020, the message has come down from management, you need to increase your sales, but they don't tell us how. So we're going to be talking about cross-selling, because cross-selling is one of the most effective techniques out there, and it's easy to use. And when it comes to products like STI, these products really lend themselves to it. Let's see what happens when how do I get the screens here? Oh, that's better. Oh, I like that. So, great. STI, for those of you who do not know, is safety technology. They've been making innovative solutions for almost 50 years now. And it all happened because they realized that certain equipment was subject to damage. Certain equipment is subject to false alarm. International W, well, for about 20 years now, we are the face of safety technology in the Caribbean, in Latin America. So we mentioned the add-on sale. Exactly what is that? What is the add-on sale? Basically, it's selling another item once the buyer has purchased his main item. Important, it represents significant revenues. And this one is key to the presentation today. An add-on sale is suggested by the salesperson. And it works particularly well when it's presented by the salesperson in the form of a question. So it's also known as upselling. So sometimes what they do is there'll be a marketing, they'll take advantage of marketing. In this case, of a point of purchase display. We all have seen them. We have all fallen victim to them. We're waiting to pay, and as we do, we're just looking at everything available, and quite a few people pick things up. When you look at the 7-Elevens, any of those convenience stores, the Starbucks, they take advantage of every square centimeter that they can to sell. This is the silent salesman. Well, we don't have that advantage in our business, but what we do have is the ability to ask a question. In every sales manual that you read, they always talk about asking questions. And when I'm talking about asking questions, I don't mean, how many cameras, are they indoor, outdoor? How long do you want to record for? No, I'm talking about questions which uncover problems. Questions which allow the customer to express, because there's nothing more powerful than a customer hearing his own voice and tell you about a problem. So, questions I'm talking about are, Mr. Customer, do you want to eliminate false alarms? It's about 2 seconds. That's your investment in time. And he knows if he has this problem. People with public spaces, lobbies, movie theaters, hotels, hospitals, they know the problem of a false alarm. It's costly. You spend time, you spend money, and also it actually, if it happens too often, the customer begins to suspect, hey, this is probably just another false alarm. So asking him a question like this and hearing his answer will talking about that answer, what customer is going to say, no, 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 I don't want to eliminate any false alarm? Of course they're going to say they want to eliminate false alarm. And then you can offer what has come to be known in the market as the stopper. This one in particular is a newer version. It's the 14,000 series. Of course, the numbers change depending on if you're going to mount it surface mounted, recessed mounted, if you want it with audio visual, so that when somebody lifts the cover, you hear a mini siren go off, as well as a light, a strobing light. The idea is to call attention to the person who may be committing this false alarm. Upselling. Just 2-second investment in time. Hey, Mr. Customer, do you need an alarm? Do you need to alarm an emergency exit? Emergency exits many times are problems because customers or personnel use them as a shortcut to get out of a building, get into the parking lot. Sometimes they leave them open, and at that point, there's no security. Many times they'll use it to steal equipment. And all you did was ask a question. If the answer is yes, you've just given yourself an opportunity. If the answer is no, you move on to what you were doing. You know, there's buttons that are used for a lot of different things. So we developed a question which sort of encompasses all uses of buttons. Do you need a button for an alarm, or to advise that something's happening, or to activate a system? Instead of just saying, hey, do you need an exit button? It's kind of a silly question, especially if you're not talking about access control. But here you've just asked a single question, which allows you to offer him whatever button he wants. And these happen to be kind of special. They're made of polycarbonate. They're highly visible. They come with messages in the language you need. We have a collection of standard messages, but there's also the possibility of getting a made-to-order button with the specific language you need, the specific wording you need. You know, sometimes people say, oh, yeah, but Walter, what's the minimum order with a button with my own verbiage on it? And the minimum order is 1 piece. So that's part of the flexibility, part of the agility that safety technology offers, the fact that you can get one button with your specific message on it. Now, after we begin to come out of this pandemic with COVID-19, I think people are going to be a little bit more sensitive about surfaces that they touch. So one of your options might be to offer a touch-free button. Mr. Customer, would you prefer a touch-free button? Yes or no? But one of the things they've been teaching us is all the different surfaces that possibly could contain a virus. So here's a nice upselling item for you to offer people. Yes or no? One of the things I always like to mention is customers often look for a simple solution. And what we're looking at here is not just a strobe. Actually, this is a self-contained alarm. It has an input, so you can connect a switch, a button, any kind of closure. It has a siren where you can configure one of 32 different tones. It's a strobe, and there's different patterns of that strobe light that go off. It's IP66, so it could be used outdoors. It works off of 12 or 24 volts, but many people like it because it also runs on a 9-volt battery. So here's a very simple way to alarm a cabinet, something in the warehouse, a door, a window, anything, and even if it's outside. So don't think of this as a strobe. Think of this as a little self-contained one-zone alarm panel. One of the things we recently introduced safety technologies were 3-button kits. You know what? When you add up the different colors, the different messages in different languages, different functioning of the button itself, there's probably over 20,000 buttons. So one of the hardest problems is how does a distributor keep all that in stock? And the answer is he doesn't. But we know that the sale is emotional. At the moment, we want to take advantage when the customer says yes. So these 3-button kits actually do a lot for you. They come with 3 shells. It's going to be either 3 yellow shells, 3 green, or 3 blue. They come with 3 messages, and they come with 3 of each of those. So there's a total of 9, or in the case of the yellow one, even more little tickets. And you can see what's in the yellow kit: emergency power off, HVA shutdown, or emergency. Emergency covers 95% of what you need to do. The button gets configured in the field. So you don't have to order it to be a momentary button, order it to be key to reset or turn to reset. You do that right in the field. So now you have 3 buttons, and they can be any one of 9 different configurations because of all those labels and types of buttons that you have. So with one model, you cut down your inventory, but you have the ability to give somebody a button right away. Oh, one other thing. Buying this, you get 3 buttons, and it costs you like the same price as 2 buttons, a little bit more. But there's a great discount for it, and you have product on the shelf. One of the other things that safety technology introduced recently, and this is protection against weather or corrosive environments of factories. I'm sure a lot of the work you do are in dirty, grimy places and factories where maybe they're making paints or using chemicals, and equipment needs to be protected. So we have a line of fiberglass or polycarbonate cabinets in different sizes, specifically for that purpose. One of the advantages people like this, aside from it's not as it's IP66 or NEMA 4X, it is lighter than metal. It allows for radio transmission if you're protecting radio equipment, whereas metal can does not. There's a configurator online. So you can go online and with about 5 different clicks, determine the model you're interested in. Incidentally, there's configurators for buttons, for covers of fire pull stations, for the global reset. So at the end of this presentation is an email. We'll be happy to send you those links. Just send us an email, because this makes it a lot easier for you to determine a model. And there's no confusion when you call up Full Protection and say, hey, I need this model right here. I guess one of the biggest questions, and this is really how STI got their start, is any equipment subject to damage? That's what they do. You're working with great electronic equipment that brings a lot of features to it, but it's not always the strongest. It's not always made for the environments where you have to put them. So here's a way for you to protect it. And a question like that to your customer will get him to talk about his problems, because he knows what equipment, what pieces of equipment he has to go back and repair or replace every month, every 2 weeks. And now you have the way to help him, and you're increasing sales at the same time. So, as I mentioned, I can get you a list of those configurators online so you have them. Of course, you could go right to the STI website, but send us an email. We'll be happy to send you those links, and you can keep them as bookmarks in your browser. So I think the question comes down to this: how do you sell? I mean, are you waiting for the customer to ask for something? STI sells with a single question. You're talking about an investment of 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. And that's the way to increase sales. Following leaders who have used this technique to add to their revenue and add to their sales. And that's it for our presentation today. Questions, comments?